write on shell.sanbi.ac.uk?
No, we're going to get there in a second. First, I must give them the link to the course website. They don't have that yet. I must just log into Bitly and make that quickly. I'm just going to make a link for the course website. The course website is still being kind of built as we go along, but that's fine. We'll work with it. Create new there. Okay. And I'm actually going to start, before we even start the training, I'm going to start with the Menti thingy, okay? But this is called this slash actually, let me put this on the website quickly before we start. Mentimeter, how do we send? I always have to remember how to use this damn Mentimeter thing, but I'll get there quickly. Yours. And then we need the code. Why does it let me copy this code? Share. If I go here, does it show the right thing? My network is not working so great either here. Okay, so I thought I gave this thing a better name than this. So the course website, I will just put it on the screen with my MS Word, and I'll make it big. My view layouts, orientation, landscape.
But I think it's going to change.
That's right, 56. Can people read that? That is the link to the course website. Okay? So I'll put it here also on the thing. bit.ly/course PGMAR 2024-CT. Okay? So if you've loaded that website on your computer, put up a green sticky. If you're having problems loading it, putting a yellow sticky. If you don't have it loaded yet, take down all of your stickies. Okay? So just if it's loaded correctly, and you should see this web page. Okay, if you can see this web page, put up a green sticky. Okay?
Yeah.
Can you work better than me, because I've tried to, or maybe it's a Zoom setting, right? So how do you do the Zoom in Word? Oh, this button. Okay. There. Is that about as much as I can zoom it? Can I zoom more? Okay. There you go. Thanks. If you're at that page, please put up your green stickies so that we can know that you're there. And when I can move on.
So Stanislas is simply working up there.
Use the other laptop here.
Are you connected to the courses?
Yeah, everyone's on.
Okay.
Okay. So, as I say, we're still kind of adding bits to the course website as we go. So from here, click on the Unix Linux Introduction tab. And when we put together the invitation list for this course, we tried to identify people who had at least had some exposure to Linux, command line and things like that. So I just want to make an assessment of where are we, so I know how to go forward with teaching, okay? Because I have a teaching plan, but I have to adapt it for what I discover about you guys. Okay, so if you're seeing this page, just going to zoom it a bit. Please click the link that says go to Mentimeter to join the presentation. Okay, if you click that link, then you see this slide. Okay. Is everybody going from the course website, clicking Mentimeter and seeing this slide? Is anybody not? If you're not seeing this slide, I want you to put a yellow sticky up. If you don't see this slide, I want you to put a yellow sticky up so that I know that you haven't got here. I think we're getting here.
Yeah, everyone's on.
Everyone's on. Okay, so now we can start the quiz. Okay? So what I want you to do is choose an option. Read the question. How can we list all the files in the subdirectories of the current... This seems to be on the wrong slide. Just check that it's on the correct slide. Mentimeter. I just want to go. It's
Did you put it on shuffle?
is it on shuffle or something? How did it?
It's on shuffle.
But we're all on the same one.
We're on the same one, but I don't know why we're not starting at the start slide.
You have to start from
It started me on page 6 for some reason. Oh, I must just change the thing. Sorry, how do I change my, maybe, it's got me on line 6. I'm trying to change the slide. Just give me a second while I fix this. There must be a way to change the presentation. Okay, good. Arrow keys apparently. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to change the slide on the system.
We just.
Does somebody know how to work Mentimeter? Because I don't. I've got all the slides here, but it's showing the wrong one.
How do you know which thing the wrong one?
It's got this arrow down here at the bottom showing the currently shown slide. Let me just change present
You have to. Yes, that's the where to present.
and then present. Okay. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Okay, let's start with this question. Okay? And we're just going to answer these questions quickly. Please, so just refresh your screen. Refresh your screen, and you should see this slide. Which operating system is on your laptop? Everybody, please vote. Everybody must please vote. And I'm waiting till the numbers are getting to most of us, and then I'll move on. Still a few people must vote. We've 11, 13, 15. Okay, so most people here who've got Windows have got WSL installed. Okay? I would like to discuss, as we move forward during this week, for those who here without WSL, that we find an alternative. We maybe install WSL, which is the way to run Linux on Windows, because this is really, 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 really helpful for your bioinformatics. Okay. Okay. Great. So I have Windows with WSL. Submit. Okay. So now I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay. Now I'm going to start testing your knowledge. Just reload your page. How do you get, if you are in a Linux terminal, you're in a Linux terminal or a Bash terminal, okay? You're in a terminal with Bash. If you're on a Mac, it's still a terminal with Bash. How do you get back to your home directory? And in this one, you can select, I think you can choose multiple options here, but yeah. So we've got 11 votes. We need a few more votes before I call the poll complete. Okay, there we are, 12, 14, 15 votes, okay. These two options are correct. Why? Okay. CD ... just takes you one level up. Takes you to the parent directory of where you are now, okay? CD tilde, this tilde character, the wiggly tilde, that means home directory, okay? But you can also use an environment variable. Wherever you are, whenever you have a shell, the $home environment variable always has the path to your home directory. So you can cd $home. That also works. I'm not putting this to teach you so much as to see where we're at with understanding. I can see that we're about half in the understanding of this thing. Let's move on to the next question.
What about just CD?
That works, but it's not an option on the slide. So it does work. If you just go CD, press enter. CD without any parameters. Press enter, the default behavior, because every command has default behavior. What is the default behavior of ls? If I just type ls and press enter, what does it do? It lists exactly what's in your current directory. So if I want to list a different directory, I have to say ls/home or something like that. I have to give it a parameter, okay? Back to my presentation view. Once you figure out how to work this thing, it's nice. Your page should have refreshed to this. How do you, sorry, I should not be out of the screen here. How can you list all files that end in .txt? Put in your votes. We have a strong consensus here. ls*.txt. Okay? And what's wrong with the first one? What's wrong with the first option? ls.txt. What will this list? Just a file called .txt, right? Because star is a pattern. So star is a shell pattern that we use. But what's wrong with this one? ls/star.txt. What is that going to show me? The other directory and files in that other directory which are called .txt. Okay? On to the next thing. How can we count the files in our current directory that start with A, capital A? I think there's also a follow the majority thing happening here, but once you start seeing the votes coming in, then you chase what other people are voting, but that's good, okay? So, why not this one over here? What? Because, good, exactly the answer here, because the shell is case sensitive. A little a and grand a is two different things, okay? What do we call this character that's over here? What's that? It's a pipe, un pipe. Ce n'est pas un pipe, mais c'est un pipe. You know the famous, the famous picture from René Magritte? It's a picture of a pipe. Ceci n'est pas un pipe. Because of course the painting is a painting of a pipe, it's not a pipe. But this is a pipe, but it's not a pipe, but it's a pipe. Okay? It's a pipe. What's wrong with this one over here? Sorry? The last one, yeah.
Yes, because you haven't specified what is going to do. The A is the name of the file.
The A is the name of the file, yeah.
Ça compte tous les fichiers qui sont nommés par.
Yeah, exactly. This one will only count the files that are called A. Okay? And of course, only one file can have one name. This at most can give you one or zero. Okay? But this is because Bash, it's a language. C'est la langue, okay? Une langue, okay? Because it's a language with different verbs and all of those kind of things. You must think of it like that, okay? Now.
Peter, maybe
But doesn't everybody see the things go up? Or does not everybody see it go up while they're doing it? So now we're getting a bit more complicated. We have a file called memo.txt, okay? We want all of the files, all of the lines in the file that contain the word sorghum, and we want to save all of those lines to a file sorghum.txt. Find or grep or ls, which are the commands we're going to use? The majority is chasing down this, but not so fast as before. The majority, the people are still trying to find their way a little bit. Let's discuss our options, okay? Why not this one? What's wrong with option number 1?
You're just finding, you're not holding them together. You just want to find this.
Firstly, is there a command called find that you can use on Linux?
Regular expressions.
Not a regular expression. Is there a command called find? Yes? But what does the find command do?
Find the name of the file in the operations.
Like Stanislaw is giving us the answer here. Find looks for a file that matches a certain criteria, either a name, or you can ask for find me all the files that are owned by Papa Say, or you can ask for other parameters like that. That's what find does, okay? If people say grep is the right command, what does grep do? What is the job of grep? Somebody shouts a bit loud, because you guys muttering in your breath doesn't help me, yeah?
Grep cherche dans un fichier tous les mots qui ont le caractère.
So exactly. Grep is searching for a word, or as Tracy was saying, a regular expression, which is a different kind of pattern to the shell patterns, okay? But it's still a pattern, but it's searching for a word in a file, okay? So grep is when you want to look inside something. Find is when you want to find the file or the directory name in your file system, okay? Okay. And that's the first thing, and then ls is totally wrong, okay? And then of course, grep. There is no right answer here. There is no right answer. What's wrong with this answer? The sorghum is in the wrong place. In the memo you see. I think that I was trying to make this one trickier and then I tricked myself. Okay? Okay. So this is flipped the wrong way around. That we want to grep sorghum, the mock, the fichier. Okay? So even 12 people got this one wrong, and some people, the people who didn't vote got it right. Okay? At least they didn't.
I thought I was learning a new way to create.
Okay. This one, some people started voting already because I showed it earlier. This reminds me of the scientists who said, I can't remember the way around they said it, that this answer is not even wrong, it is incorrect. It's like, okay, carry on voting on this thing. We are in a directory how do we list all the files in all of the subdirectories of the current directory that end in fasta? So we're looking for all of the files in all of the subdirectories of here that end in fasta. Sorry, do I keep moving out of the screen or something?
it's okay.
Campbell has some fancy thing that watches us, but we do have a meeting hour that we could also use if you want to.
No, I think that's
Okay. Okay, we're getting a bit of disagreement here. A few people are not throwing their hats into the ring at all. Some people are like deciding to hold back. I wonder who these people are. They don't want to commit. Yeah. But they just because it's because they're gonna fight once, We would never have received. We would never have got freedom in Africa without commitment. So you have to commit sometimes. Okay. Two options are getting votes, okay? I actually don't know what that one does, and I would like to try it one day. But the difference between in Linux, we can always talk about a path. A path is made out of two things: file names and directory dividers. Okay, the directory divider is the slash. Okay, the path separator is a slash. So if we want to say subdirectory, then we know that subdirectory is going to involve using a slash somewhere. Okay, so that's a hint for this one being correct. The star, it doesn't put. Okay, so the reason that one, I thought of that one is because I know there is a pattern matching system that uses 2 stars in a row. I can't remember what it is, but it will not work for this thing. But this one says, in all of the subdirectories, find everything called started fasta. Okay? And you can, path patterns, you can actually make them quite complex. Recently, I had a very complex directory structure, and I was able to gather lots of files together by just knowing the right path pattern to use. Okay? So path patterns. Does anybody know what is the name? What is the official name for a path pattern in Linux? Like we've heard about regular expressions that grep uses, that's that kind of pattern. What do we call this kind of a pattern? Anybody from that side want to what do we call this kind of file system patterns? They're called globs. Okay? If you go look in the actual code, this is a so-called glob pattern. Okay? But yeah. Just a few more questions. And now we can get philosophical, okay?
Sorry,
Yes.
the previous question, number 2.
Number
What
2.
you say about number 2?
Number 2, all. It's just going to look for a directory called all, and then all the started fasta in that directory, okay? So all here won't mean a pattern. It will just literally be looking for a directory called all. Okay, so that's why number 2. So if you don't put a star, what are the special characters that the shell uses? Star, question mark, and square brackets. Okay, so question mark in the shell, in the glob pattern system of the shell, means one character, any one character. Star means any number of characters, and if you put it in square brackets, then you're giving it some options. Like if you put square brackets 1, 2 in the shell, then it can mean either 1 or 2, but just one letter, but it can be a 1 or a 2, okay? Now, I was talking about the lonely bioinformatician earlier. I hope that George is no longer a lonely bioinformatician at Cambridge. I think he built a whole horde around him, but I know he was at one point. So that's for this question. Because I said part of the point of getting together in these meetings is not just to learn, but to build the connections, okay? So, if you get stuck with doing your work on the command line, who do you turn to for advice? And yes, I know there's Google, but I'm talking about besides Google. Well, yeah, one of the I thought I should add an option. You just WhatsApp Peter, but there are people who do that. But yeah. And I've noticed that the groups that we set up, the WhatsApp groups that we set up every time we do training, have stayed alive. Not very alive, but from time to time, I get a question on a WhatsApp group from 2 years ago, you know. Does anybody know, and it can be strange things. The one time it was, does anybody have the product sheet for this PCR kit? And somehow, together with everybody, we found somebody in Tanzania had that product sheet, and they got a PDF, and we found it. I was like, whoa, that was quite amazing. But yeah. Okay, so this is interesting. Mostly people are having to look not to individuals, but to groups. Okay. I did set up a Slack. I do add people to Slack every time we do training. But not so many people are using the Slack. I've noticed that. From time to time, you do get questions, but not a lot, you know. And from time to time, you get questions on the WhatsApp. And some people can ask somebody from elsewhere. That's interesting. But I'm very glad that we didn't get any answers here. So everybody's got at least somewhere to turn to, which means that we are doing something right, you know. Nobody is totally alone. Cool. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Now that I know a little bit more about where you are and what you're doing. Now let's do some actual learning, okay? And we are going to be learning using a shell server that I have set up, okay? The reason I gave you all, if we go back to the page, go past the Mentimeter section, okay? Firstly, before we deal with the page, I just want to show what's at the bottom of the page. I've added lots of links to different resources on Linux training, okay? Linux and Bash training. If you have a favorite resource that I haven't mentioned here, please let me know, because I want to add it to the list. But one of the nice things about Linux and Bash is that it's very widely used and there's many resources, okay, besides the ones that we put together for this training. So going back up again, you see here's a link to the shell server. So if you follow this link, and I'm just going to do it in another tab, you will see a server that looks like this. You will see this screen, okay? This is on shell.sanbi.ac.za, and it asks, what is your username? And everybody has been given a username and password. Okay, I'm going to just make this bigger. I think this is this option. I'm going to go find my username. And it would always say this thing about permanently adding blah, 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 blah. You can ignore that message, okay? But it always say this thing, and now it wants you to type in a password. As with any password prompt on Linux, it will not show you what you're typing. normally what I do is I type the password that I need to use, the one that you've got on a piece of paper, I type it somewhere else on my screen so that I can copy and paste it because I can't see what I'm typing. It's easier to just, like for instance, type the password in another tab, like here, and then copy it, right click, paste, and enter, okay? So then you don't need to worry about typing errors, okay? So can everybody get logged into the system, right? Use the password combination, and if you are not logged in, put up a yellow, if you're having trouble logging in, put up a yellow sticky. If you are logged in fine, please put up a green sticky, okay? So I'll just give everybody 2 minutes to log in. Sorry, could you just give me a bottle of water, please? I forgot to bring one back from there. And when you logged in, you will see this, okay? So if you have a problem, and I know, is that a yellow? A green, okay. We are getting more contrasting colors of stickies. This is all green, right? Is that a green or a yellow? Green. Green, sorry, the color contrasts are not great. We are sorting it out. And this is all looking like it's coming green, coming green, coming green. And that's a green over there, and it's just the back row. I'm still waiting for some stickies. Just gonna wait. I've got the bottle here as well. I've got 2 bottles. Okay, I can carry on drinking water.
Oh.
Now everybody's using their own login, right? So we're not messing with each other's work. The computer we're logging into is not a very big computer, so you can't do actual bioinformatics here, but we can do a little bit of shell stuff, right? Panga, are we coming right there at the back?
Don't you have this one, a text?
Put it into, yeah, type it somewhere else so you don't have to type like.
You as well, can you type one? Because if it says I'm a follower, it kicks you out.
If you don't do anything, yeah, if this thing is idle for I don't know how long, then it logs you out. With the configurable. I should actually check the timeout settings where they are. Maybe it's in the actual server. Okay. So I think everybody's logged in.
So waiting on is nice.
Stanislav, are we can you just stay here with him, and then I see Nazar is helping Punk over there. And now this structure of this is going to be a bunch of questions and answers that we're going to have to figure out how to make it interactive in a way, okay? So it's not just me like, is it not logging in, right? Are we in? Nazar, is the login not working there or something?
Maybe is somebody else also using 10?
10? Should not be anybody else using 10. Let me just check.
password.
Oh, is the password for 10 not working?
Probably.
No, okay, I'm gonna reset the password for user 10, okay? Just need to change Windows,
I can send him the user for the phone.
but I reset all the passwords yesterday, so it shouldn't be a problem.
So Kirsty is giving hers to Pamela.
Okay. Just checking something. Seems to really not like user 10.
Just one.
Oh, the password does work. I don't know why it didn't work for me now. Okay, are you logged into the other user now?
He's going to try 24.
Which one?
24.
Okay. Alexi's keyboard is doing weird things. Is it working or not working?
Okay, Steve.
Okay, good. So we logged in. Here I am as user 50. So we're going to start with the easy one. You logged in. You're in a new place. What can you see? What are you seeing in your home directory? Okay. And can you tell if what you're seeing is a file or a directory? Okay. And if you're going to do that, how can you tell? So we know that we can look around with ls, right? And we see something called data. What must we do to be able to tell what is this a file or a directory? Dash. So one option is ls-l. ls-l gives us a long listing, okay? And we can see here there's a D for directory, okay? And then that's the permissions, who owns it, some other information, okay? Besides -l, there is another option for ls, another flag for ls that we can use. What? -l what? L? Li or ln?
Apple, A for apple.
LA, that also works, yes. But with leaving out the L, if you don't using L, there is another way to do this. And if anybody's done my shell lesson, they might know. -LA, -LI, -L whatever, but there's another way. Does anybody know the other way? ls -F, capital F. -F shows the, and so we can go to the answer. Oh, sorry, where are you? I forgot that one. Where are you? PWD. But moving on to this one. ls-L or ls-F, and the -F adds what they call classification indicators. So a slash at the end for directories, and I think it's an @ sign for links and a few other things, okay? So capital F, okay? So now that we can see there's something called data, we have a directory called data in our home directory, okay? How can we see what is in the data directory? We can cd into the data and do ls? But no, we just want to see what's in the directory for now, okay? Besides cding in there, what else can we do? ls data, okay? We can also ls data to say what's in the data directory, okay? And there is a file called cases.csv, okay? So now, yeah, ls/data is the answer, okay? Now, we get to, let's cd into data, okay? Your directory, you should be in the data directory. Here we are, and there's cases.csv. How can we see what is in cases.csv? Cat? Less, cat or less. We've got two options, cat or less, okay? So let's use cat first, okay? Cat cases.csv. And we see all of this, right? It scrolls like that, okay? What are some downsides to using cat? Why should we not always use cat to look what's in a file? Confusing what?
Computing power, like, I mean, if it's the file being interactive.
Yeah, if we're going to cat a massive file, it's going to scroll and scroll and scroll. If you are stuck scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and you want to get back to your shell prompt, how do you stop cat? No, Q won't work to stop cat. Control C, because now if it's a running program, if we want to stop a running program, Control C, okay? It can be cat, it can be anything else, but Control C will stop it. It won't necessarily stop it immediately because it's putting the stuff on your screen and you hit Control C and it's already started so-called buffering stuff onto your screen. Might take a little while before things stop, okay? So, what is a second disadvantage of cat? Besides the big file power, what's the other thing that can go wrong with cat? Let me illustrate. What am I looking at? A binary file, right? So when I use cat, cat will show me the contents even if it's a binary file. That happens to be the contents of /bin/bash, which is a binary, okay? So we got an alternative here in the front. Alternative was less, okay? So there's, who here has heard about less? A few people have, okay. Who here has heard about more? More? Yeah? So more and less are two different commands that do very similar things, okay? So I'm going to use, if I say less cases.csv, okay, then I see this. Less and more are what are called pagers. They show us one page at a time, okay? Now, why do we have, sometimes people say use less, sometimes people say use more, okay? The original command was more, but many of our computers now come with something called less as well. Not all of them. I'm not sure if it's there on a Mac or not, but it might be, okay? Why is it called less? Because the people who make these tools like jokes. So the first tool was called more, and then the next tool they called it less, okay? Which is also why bash is called bash. Do you know why bash is called bash? It's not because it makes you so frustrated that you want to bash the computer. Does anybody know why bash is called bash? Originally, back in the day, there was something called sh. okay, and it was made by a guy called Bourne, not Jason Bourne, the superhero, but the guy's name, it was Bourne, okay, and so another person made a shell called KSH, another one made a shell called CSH, but the one that was just called SH was known as the Bourne shell because it was made by somebody called Bourne, okay? So then later on, somebody wanted to make a shell that was like the SH shell, in other words, like the Bourne shell, but modernized, because the original Bourne shell was made back in the 1970s or something like that. So then when they made the new shell, they decided to call it the Born Again shell. And Born spelled B-O-U-R-N-E, and Born Again shell makes bash. So the bash is the Born Again shell. It's the system is full of jokes. Okay? So, but anyway, and then bash has become the most commonly used shell. There are still other shells like C shell and Z shell and all sorts of other things, but bash is the most common one. Okay? So now if I'm here, what can I do? I'm not at my shell prompt. How can I get out of less or more? Q. Q doesn't work? I want to see how Q doesn't work. Oh, that's because you saw the end already. Just press up. Oh, your screen is frozen. So, just have to see something. Oops. It's the end. It's the end. Q. I don't know what happened there. But Control C fixed it. Oh, and then more just got to the end without. So less and more don't work exactly the same. In general, but in both of these commands, how do I see the next page of results? Spacebar, right? I press space, boop, and I see the next page. Okay? And I can carry on. And if I want to search in these things, I press slash. So now I can search for, let me search for cast number 00100. And then it moves on. Okay? So slash lets me search in the pages. Okay? So that's less and more. So, and I discussed this thing about cat and Control C and all of those kind of things. So this file contains some simulated data on cholera cases in Haiti, okay? The oldest African-led republic in the world, which unfortunately had the introduction of cholera in 2010, after it had not been seen on the island for, I believe, about a century, okay? And the cholera was introduced in a river called the Abonite River, okay? And Haiti is the western side of the island. It was really called Saint-Domingue, okay? And it's got 9 sections called departments, okay? So in French countries, the province or a region, it's called a department, okay? So this is where the data comes from. And if you look at the data that we've got on our screens, you will see that Nord, Grand-Anse, Nord, Abonite, West, etc. Okay? These are the names in French, because they're also English names for these different areas. So this is simulated data. This is not real data. There was a real cholera outbreak happening at this time, but I didn't go get real data. I just made up data for cholera cases in Haiti. in the mid-2010s. And they have had an outbreak now again of cholera recently, after the pandemic. But it's widely suspected that cholera came from a Nepalese peacekeeper who was stationed in Haiti, and then reintroduced in the chaos that followed the 2010 earthquake. And then, of course, it spread, because spread of cholera is a disease of poverty, right? Of poor infrastructure and all of these things. We know we've been fighting this thing on the continent, you know. So, going back to the file, how many cases are recorded in this file? How are we going to know how many cases are recorded in this file?
Is each line
Yeah, so let's look at the file first. Okay, I'm going to look at the file with more to learn something more about it. And if we look at this thing, then before we say how many cases in total, let's understand the structure of the data. Okay, let's understand what we're looking at. Well, at the top there, that looks a lot like a header line, right? Case ID, department, case date, gender, age, age unit. Okay, so these are headings. Okay, so there's a header line, and that tells us, and then on the left-hand side we can see CAS 00001, 2, 3, 4, etc. So this is a comma-separated values file. Okay, a CSV file. Okay, the other common type of tabular data file that we get is a TSV file, tab separated value file. And what's nice about these things where there is one item of information per line is that we can work with it easily on the shell. Okay. Later, Nazar will be doing some introduction to R with us, but whether we're dealing with the shell or whether we're dealing with R, you need to have clean data. Clean data that's designed for a computer to read. So we've got one case line per row, okay? One case per row, and we have a header line. How many cases do we have in this file? How are we going to tell? I mean, I could go here and I could count 1, 2, 3, but I don't want to do that. Suggestions? Grep?
CRS.
Yeah, but that will just find all of the cases. That won't count them.
Then we can find
Right?
One count CRL.
Okay. Okay. So this is a suggestion. Grep cat cases. Pipe WC minus L. So what is this command doing that we see on the screen here? It's searching for the word CAS, and then it's piping to WC word count minus L. WC minus L counts lines, okay? What is one of the nice things about this, okay? What is another way to get the answer? What would happen if we just leave out the grep and we just say WC minus L? But let's look at that.
counts also the header line.
It counts the header line. So by saying grep CAS, it only counts the case lines, okay? I want to add one more thing to this command. I want to make a mistake, and then you tell me what my mistake was. What is my mistake, and what's happened, and how can I get out of the situation? What did I do wrong?
So you took it to correct everything that starts with this.
Yeah, but I'm not at my shell prompt. What did I do wrong in this command? What? No file.
Yeah.
I didn't put a file name. So what is grep trying to do at this point?
It just counts every. I think it's
What is grep waiting for? Grep is sitting here waiting. Grep grep's not waiting for a file name. There's a lot of commands in the shell that are friendly to pipes. They can either be given a file name, or if you don't give them a file name, then they will read from standard in. Okay, WC as well. That's how pipes work. Like here, WC minus L, we didn't, over here, we gave WC minus L a file name. But here, we're not giving it a file name. It will then read from the output of grep. It's reading from standard input. It's waiting to read from standard input. Standard input is normally your keyboard, but standard input, if you use pipes, is the previous command. Okay? So by forgetting that, I've ended up in this situation. How can I get myself out of the situation? Must I log out? What must I do? How can I get back to my shell prompt? Control C. So whenever I want to quit a program, Control C. But if I actually do want to give input, then if I want to end my input and not cancel it, how do I end input on the terminal? Control D. Control D, and it tells me that there was one thing that matched cuts, okay? Control D doesn't cancel things, it just says end the input, okay? But going back to this thing, if we do this correctly, grep, what does what we call a circumflex? We call it a copy in Afrikaans. I don't know what the caret. Okay, caret. What does the caret do? That's an example of a regular expression operator, and it says I'm not looking for the character caret. It says only find me cas where it starts the line. Okay. Now. I could. This is what Tracy says. I could leave out the WT minus L, and I could use a grep minus C, because grep with a minus C counts the number of things. Okay? Now, two questions. What did the dollar sign mean? Why did I put a dollar sign there? What does dollar sign mean? And why did I put it in single quotes? A string, what?
Expression is string, because what you're looking for is a string variable. So you need to put it in.
No, it's not a string variable, but dollar sign means something to the shell. It's a special character. Like dollars, like star, and a few of those other things. So in general, I'm putting my pattern, if my pattern is just a word, then I don't need to put it in quotes. But if I want to be safe, I put my pattern in quotes to tell the shell, leave this alone. Why single quotes, not double quotes? Double quotes, like this, tells the shell, yes, I want you to interpret what's in the string, okay? Single quote says, leave it alone, don't even look at it, okay? And then what is the dollar sign about? What's the dollar sign doing here? Somebody said something? End? Sign now, okay. The carré means the start, dollar sign, in regular expression language means the end. So this will only find the lines where the word years is at the end of the line, okay? In the other resources, I did link to some guides on using grep and things like that, which give you an introduction to regular expressions, okay? Regular expressions can do a lot of things. You don't need to learn it all at once. There's like little pieces you can learn bit by bit. I am told, I haven't tried it yet, but I am told that ChatGPT is very good at writing regular expressions. So if you want to know a pattern for something, you can ask ChatGPT to write it for you. So ChatGPT is not perfect, but for those kind of things, maybe I should have put on that other slide, I don't ask a friend, I ask ChatGPT.
Yes.
Because ChatGPT is my friend, okay? But the problem with ChatGPT is this. If you don't know whether its answer is right or wrong, then it's dangerous because it can give you either a wrong answer or it can give you an inefficient answer, an old way of doing things. Because remember, what is ChatGPT? It's just a collection of lots of content that they've sucked up and looked at which words are likely to follow which other words. So, and that content can be old content and it can be wrong content. And ChatGPT doesn't want to say nothing. So it'll give you something. Like if you ask, if you really want to laugh, ask ChatGPT what it knows about you to write a biography for you. Because it'll say the funniest things, you know. It'll make you a professor, it'll make you, you know, I'm still waiting to find somebody who writes their CV on ChatGPT because I'm sure it'll invent, like, they've done all of the courses and, you know, because that thing just likes talking. Okay. But still, for these simple things, it's useful. And when I'm writing code, I use a plug-in called GitHub Copilot, which I can use for free because I'm mostly writing open source code, and that helps me with the code writing as well. But you always need the human to check that it's not doing nonsense. Okay.
Peter, do you remember how we got the pipe to work on the French?
Yes. The pipe, it was somewhere in a funny place.
Because hers is on the 6th, but I can't.
You have to get old graphics. I'll clear you out.
Yeah.
But you know what? Stanisla, were you here when Abdul Manim from Morocco was with us? No. I had my second honeymoon in Morocco last year. Okay? I specifically went to Institut Pasteur in Casablanca to try and fix his keyboard because his keyboard and French and everything, it worked, so many things went wrong, you know. I said that I was going to come to Morocco just to throw his computer into the sea because it was driving me so crazy. But what I did learn for the francophones, if you are working with tabular data, CSV files and things like that, okay, I find that Excel en français often has problems with reading and writing CSVs, okay? So for that, there's a freely available software package called LibreOffice, which you can get for Mac, for Windows, whatever. One thing that's nice about it, even if you're not using it to write documents or anything, LibreOffice, they have a spreadsheet program called Calc. It's very good at reading and writing CSV and TSV files. And you don't need to go find like some weird setting in Windows, because for Excel, if you want to change like the formatting in Excel, like whether you're using commas or semicolons or whatever it is, you have to go find some setting deep inside Windows, okay? But LibreOffice Calc, you can download it for free. It's nice for working with tabular data, okay? Okay, so now we know a bit about the structure we know the headings, we know it's comma separated, we know there's got 1,000 cases in it. how many unique locations are listed in the file, making things a bit more challenging. So how are we going to approach this problem? Here we've got this CSV file. Firstly, where is the location in this file? The department. Huh? Department. The second is column is the department is the location. Okay. So let's think about this. How are we going to find the number of unique values in that column? What must we do first in order to start addressing this problem? Extract the department column. And how are we going to extract the department column? Cut and org. Yes. Cut and org. You got it exactly. That's exactly when I was writing this thing. I thought there's two different ways. Okay. How are we going to do it with cut? Minus D, yes, for the delimiter. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, cut minus D for the delimiter. Delimiter is comma, okay? Comma delimits our fields here. Minus F2, and then the name of the thing.
Yeah.
Now it pulls out all of the data, okay? Now, that's got us column 2. How are we going to find out what are the distinct values in column 2? What are the unique values in column 2?
Unique.
Okay, so I'm going to use unique. Doesn't quite look right because I've got a lot of not unique stuff in here. Sort and unique. Okay, the guys in the front are like rating, but let's cut lets you pull things out. Okay. Before we get into the sort and unique, actually, let me get into the sort and unique, and then I'll show you other options. So, if we want to find distinct values in using the shell from a list of things, it's always two commands. Okay. It's sort and it's unique. Okay. So, let me do them one by one. Sorts things, and it groups them all together. Okay? And unique, the unique, just UNIQ, that removes duplicates, but only from lines next to each other. Okay? So if it said, sud, unique would change it into like one sud. But if it said sud, not sud, unique would not pick that up. It doesn't look in a distance. It only looks at the next line next to it, okay? Now we've got this, and this is also why it's important to always look at your data, okay? Now we've got this list. How are we going to count the elements in the list? Word count. Word count? Word count, everybody? Yes? Our standard tool for doing counting. And it says the answer is 10. Is this the correct answer? No. What went wrong? Yes. Unique values in this column, which includes department. There's no department of Haiti called department. Okay? I choose Haiti as an example because there are no Haitians in the class. If I was to choose an African country as an example, I'd be worried that I'd be offending somebody from one of our countries. But there's no department called department. That came in there from the heading. How can we skip the heading? Does anybody know how to skip over the heading line in file in Linux? Yeah, Kirsty? What? What must I do?
It's just going to stand by
Setting, go to this.
I'll just switch it off and on again. Why does it think that we are in power
No, leave it to go.
Will this go away? Ah, okay. Well, I don't know why it was saying that, because I'm using the TV. And it's not like it's idle. Maybe it doesn't know about that. Okay, how do I skip over the first line? Silence. I am not surprised at the silence. I did not know this until a while ago, okay? And you can ask Tracy, while preparing this lesson, I learned a new thing about the bash shell. Like on the weekend, literally, I learned a new thing that I didn't know about Jesus. Tail, but with what? How are we going to use tail?
If you know the number of lines.
If I know the number of lines, then I could say, how many lines are in the file? 1001, including the header. So I could go tail. This is one option. Sorry, forgot the name of the file. And give me the right answer now. This is correct, but not in a way that makes me happy, because I have to know the number of lines for this to work. There is a trick. Read the manual page. Just trying to find the right thing that I'm trying to show. Where is it? BPP, CBF, they're in. Read the manual page carefully. Minus n, output the last number of lines instead of the last 10. Okay, so normally tail gives us the last 10 lines. Okay? Or use minus n plus num to output starting with line num. This is the trick that I learned recently. Okay? The tail can actually give you the last lines, but starting at a particular line, if you use a plus. I'm going to just take the WC away so we can see what the values look like. So tail, and of course when we say the first line, we have to think, how does this thing count? Does it count starting from 0, or does it count starting from 1? It happens to count starting from 1. Okay, so which means the header line is line 1, and I want everything from line 2 onwards. Okay, tail minus n plus 2 cases, and there we get just the list of departments in Haiti. Okay, so tail minus n plus 2 starts at line 2 and carries on. Okay, and similarly with head. So head normally, if I say head minus n5 cases.csv, it gives me the first 5, okay? But if I read the head manual page, it also has a similar thing. If I use minus with my number with head, I can get it to print everything except for a certain number of lines at the end. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that quickly. You see, n minus 2, it left off the lines 9 and 10 from my file. Okay? It just gave me everything besides the last 2 lines. When I'm doing it this way around, I can actually, the -2, it looks like a flag, but it's actually being used as a position, okay? But yeah, so head and tail has this other way of working with pluses and minuses that you don't learn when you're just learning it the first time, right? Anyway, so we're putting it all together. Nine distinct locations, okay?
If you wanted to count how many times each,
We're going to get to them. We're going to get to them, okay? So, I could also do that. The other option is this. Grep minus V, department. So we know that the header line has department in it. Cases, pipe cut, minus D, comma minus F2, pipe sort, pipe unique, pipe WC minus L. Gives the same, or I could put the cut and then the grep, doesn't matter, okay? These are, what does grep minus V do?
Inverse match.
Reverse match. Grep minus V just reverses, just show me things where it doesn't show up, okay? So, one of the things that I linked to in the resources is a cheat sheet where it has all of the different commands and the different things that they do, because like I'm not expecting everybody to learn like the minus V flag, the minus N plus 2, blah blah blah, all at once, okay? But you just need like a lookup, you know? And the other thing is, of course, you need practice, because if you don't use a language, you don't learn the language, okay? Which is I mean, the way I'm learning French at the moment, I'm reading the news in French, you know, to just keep myself, besides the app that I'm practicing, I'm reading Actualité d'ACD to kind of practice, challenge myself to read, and then you get better, you know? So, I said this is clean data, okay? One of the things that's clean about this data is how the dates are expressed, okay? So firstly, we're not Americans with this crazy date order of year, what do they do, year, day, month, or something like that. I think they're the only ones in the world that do such strange things, but yeah. But besides that, the dates are expressed using something very similar to the ISO 8601 standard, okay? ISO standard dates, year dash month dash day, okay? And the months are 0 padding. So you will notice that it's not 2, it's 02, okay? It's not 8, it's 08. This means that they all sort very nicely. When you're making the folder names, if you include this, then they'll sort with, or file names, they'll sort in like a dictionary order, will actually sort by date, okay? So this is a very nice way of expressing the dates. If I was to express them with slashes, then I couldn't use that date as part of a file name, you know, it would be confusing, okay? So ISO 8601 is a good date. And with this knowledge, what's the maximum date recorded in this file? When was the last case in this file recorded? We'll use sort and a few other tools.
On extrait d'abord les dates.
Mm-hmm.
Ensuite, après on trie les dates et on récupère la dernière date avec des.
Sort, yeah. So that's the thing. We can't sort without extracting first, right? Because we can't sort this thing. Well, we can. There's actually, as with usual, there's many ways to do it. Okay. So we could use sort with a delimiter. We could extract and sort, but let's try a few options, right? Firstly, I mentioned or it was mentioned here, but we haven't. If we now say head minus n plus 2, sorry, tail minus n plus 2, cases pipe awk minus f comma print $123. So this is the awk equivalent of that cut, okay? Minus capital F for the delimiter, and then we put a little program, okay? The program here, the program is in single quotes, and it's in curly braces. It does the same thing as what that cut does. It prints $3, which is the third field, okay? I'm just illustrating it here because why? Why use different tool? Awk does a lot more than cut. It can do many things, okay? One of the nice things about awk as well is that if you've got something which is delimited by spaces, and you tell awk that space is the field delimiter, it will group all the spaces into one thing, whereas cut will treat each one as its own field delimiter. Depending on what your data looks like, that can be useful, okay? And awk can do many, many, many things. When I started off as a very junior a Unix person back in the 90s, then I had to produce reports, and I used sed and awk and grep, and that was all I was using, and then I was able to do my work, okay? So awk, but cut could have been used as well. Pipe, sort, okay? So that sorts it by, sorts the data by, well, we've extracted the third column, so now it gets sorted, and if I want to just get the last one, pipe tail minus n1, and there, because sort by default sorts from smallest to biggest in ascending order. So the latest date in this file is the 27th of February 2015. Okay? And we can get that with sort and things like that. But we have more options. Okay? Just to illustrate, I could have used cut instead of awk. Cut minus. What did I do wrong? Yeah, I obviously just typed something funny there. Cut will also work, but what can we change about sort that we don't need to do cut? Sort can also refer to different fields, but it calls them keys. Okay? So sort can, normally sort will sort by the first thing that it sees on the line, okay? Which in our case is the case number. We don't want it to do that. But sort can sort minus k, and we give it the number, field number 3. It doesn't give us the right answer because the delimiter is wrong. So we have to tell sort what is the field delimiter. And it's so we've seen minus capital F is the field delimiter for awk, minus B is the field delimiter for cut, minus T is the field delimiter flag for sort. Okay? And here we see that the same date is there at the bottom, 2015 to 27. Okay? The minus T comma minus K3 is also done the sort for us, okay? Now, I said that these are nice dates. If we have a date written like this, let me just show you. But what's happened with the sorting here? It put October before February.
Stop. Stop.
It's yes, because it's looking at the first character, and the first character was a 1. Okay? So then 1 got sorted before the first character, 2. Okay? And 6, and so on and so forth. So it's sorting from left to right, and it's using what we call dictionary order by default, but it's sorting from left to right. Okay? I don't know of any way to easily fix this. If the data is written like this, sort will not give us the right answers, okay? So sometimes to get the tools to work, we first have to manipulate the data, or make sure that the data is in the format that the tools will work with. The Bash tools, the Linux tools, they're great, but they have their limitations. So you must make their life easier by, for instance, how you are saving the dates and so on and so forth, okay? Because if there's numbers, I have the same problem. And we'll see that it gets sorted like this, okay? How can I fix this with sort? Because remember, sort is thinking normally like a dictionary, in dictionary order. And so therefore it sees the 1 first, and it sorts it together with the 10 and the 1 together. How can I get sort to sort this list correctly? I have to ask it to look at it as a number, okay? So here there's only one field, but I have to tell it, field 1, but n, treat it as a number, okay? So if I want to sort numbers, then I have to tell -k and then the field number, and then an n afterwards, and then it will know that sort will use numbers. But that will not save me in that other example. If I take test 2, no matter what I say here, it will not sort correctly, right? Because I told it to interpret field 1 as a number, it tries to do that, that's clearly not a number, and it can't sort it correctly, okay? So the numeric sort, the -1n or 2n or whatever you came, -3n or whatever you're sorting, only works if there really is a number in the field. And then it works, okay? So we found that the maximum date was the 27th of February 2015, okay? How are we going to find the minimum date? Here's our command that gave us the maximum date. How are we going to find the minimum date? We can sort in reverse, right? So one way to do it is to sort in reverse. I can't remember if this will work straight like this. I'm just going to take the tail away. We'll just say -r. Yeah. So if we say -r, then we sort from biggest to smallest. Okay? Another way of saying that is -k and the field number and r. So if I go back to the example where we use the sort by itself, where I say K3 R. then I'm saying choose field number 3 and go in reverse, okay? The -k syntax for sort allows you to specify multiple keys. So you could say sort first by field 1, then by field, if you've got two things which have the same value in maybe field 1, and then you can say first sort by field 1, and then you can give it another -k, and then sort by field 2, or by field 4, or whatever it is. So you can use multiple keys to do like a more complex sort, you know, with sort, okay? So that's the one way to do it, is that we can reverse the sort. What's another way to do it? Not tail, but almost. We could use tail with the end, but that would be starting at a certain number and going forward. Head. Instead of using tail, because remember this is being sorted from the earliest to the last. Okay, so we can just use head and there we find that the earliest case record is the 1st of January 2015. Okay, so yeah, so I hope that this is showing you that this language, as you compose more things together, you can do much more, okay, with the shell. And we've got a few more examples before we have a lunch break. So we know that we've got this data, 1,000 cases from the 1st of January 2015 till the 27th of February, so 2 months worth of cholera cases. Which department had the most cases in this period? How are we going to figure out which department had the most cases in this period? Count what? How are we going to count? Yeah, we need to count somewhere, but what kind of count? Yeah. But which tool is using that? Grep. We could do. So we know what the departments are called, right? So we can say tail minus n plus 2 case. Let's see, v pipe cut minus d that minus f. Oh, sorry, my wife, I think, has got lost in Stellenbosch. I must just buy her some data quickly. Just hang on 1 second. Type sort, type unique. Okay, so that's the name of the departments. Okay, and we could say grep for each one individually. That gives us the case count for Antibonite, okay? And we can do the same for Centre. And we do the same for Grand Ants, but notice there's a quote in the middle. Let's see, what did I just do? Now, if I want to quote out a single quote, I should put things in double quotes, like so, right?
Yeah.
And gives us the number from there. I'm just going to quickly see what, I think this is. Okay, so let's just quickly sort this out. This numbers, and so we can then make a list somewhere in a spreadsheet of these numbers or a file or something like that, okay? Data. And I will discuss it this afternoon, but we could even use a loop to do this. Northeast, west. But I'm starting to get not tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And laziness is the source of inspiration. So, and I don't even know if I've done this the right number of times over. There is a different way to do this, and to me there is a better way to do this. What other way could I do this? Count everything all at once. It is possible. Ta-da! Tracy, who's the participant as well as teacher, is giving us the answer here. Unique minus C. Okay, so let's go back to that command that we used to get the list of departments. If I put a minus C to unique, it just doesn't just give us the number of distinct, it doesn't just remove duplicates, but it counts. And we see here, note. And why was naught giving us a different number here to here? Because here, where I was doing it naively, naught is going to match both naught and naught est. Okay? So I could fix that by saying comma, naught, comma, or something like that, but I just made that mistake because I was just doing like a monkey not thinking what I was doing, okay? Like a monkey with a typewriter, So unique minus C organizes this thing. And if looking at this thing, here we've got these numbers, but again, I want to take it one step further, and I want to make it clear to myself which department has the most cases. Yes, I could look at this thing and I could look at it and say, Grant answer NIPS seems to have the same number of cases, but I hate looking at things with my eyes because my eyes can skip things and deceive me. How will I make it I will use sort. So add another thing on the end. Pipe sort, but what must I do with sort? Minus n, yes? Because I have to say sort these as numbers, because otherwise that other stuff can start happening, okay? If I say without numbers, it actually works this time, but normally I need to say minus n, okay? So, and this is from the smallest to the biggest, and I can see there that at the bottom we've got a tie between the two departments, Grant Ants and NIPS, both had 178 cases recorded in these 2 months. Okay? A few more challenges, okay? Just want to actually just check something before we carry on. Just give me a second to try and figure this out. We're having network issues here. Okay. I know I'm between you and lunch. That's fine. Sometimes it can be a dangerous thing to stand between somebody and their food. But let's look at two more things, okay? The male and female gender is encoded as M or F in this data set, okay? And look at this. This data is unbelievably clean. It's all male M and Fs. There's no missing data. Nobody has written female instead of F. Nobody's put a G instead of an F. You can see this is not real world data because you guys who work in the labs know that nobody ever gives you a data set this clean. They've misspelled the department name, or they've written down the age in an inconsistent format, or yeah, I'm sure that we can all tell horror stories of the kind of data that we receive, you know. But I'm trying to teach Shao not how to clean data, so that's why I give you super clean data to work with, okay? Okay, so which had the more cases, male or female?
Female.
You say very confidently. How do you know? You did it. Okay, how did you do it?
Okay. So I did more or less the previous one. I just changed the columns to look to 4.
4 is the column for gender, yes.
And then sort and Unix in Unix.
Sort, yeah.
Sort, unity, minus.
There you go. 600 female, 400 male. Okay. I actually don't know how it ended up being like that because it was meant to be randomly assigned, but the random number generator just gave us some clean numbers. Okay. So using the same thing, different column, same command, we can now see which is the more common. It's more females getting the cases than the males. Okay. I don't know, in your cholera epidemics, are you seeing a similar pattern? The social determinants of health are complicated. Sometimes we find the females are getting more of the cases because of the caring responsibilities they have. Tuberculosis, we're often seeing the male getting more of the cases because of the kind of exposures they're spending maybe more time in, I don't know, they're spending more time in the shebeen where they are in close contact with low ventilation. It's complicated figuring these things out, you know?
Yeah, but sometimes it's also because females will more likely report.
It can be, exactly. And they can, because men, a friend of mine got TB, he went and he knew he was exposed. He spent time in close proximity to somebody with active tuberculosis. He waited until he couldn't get out of bed before going to the health facility, okay? By the time that they got the full results from because now your TB testing, your diagnostic result, if you're not using a gene expert, it takes time to get back, okay? They had to take part of his lung out, you know, because he waited so long. This is, unfortunately, a very classically male story, you know, this kind of behavior, you know? And I mean, in the rural areas, there's an internet comedian called Dr. Glaucomflecken, okay? If you Google Dr. Glaucomflecken, he's actually an ophthalmologist by training, but he does these comedy things, you know? And he makes comedy about the different specialities. So like, for instance, if anybody knows in a hospital, the kidney guys and the cardio guys are always fighting because what's good for the heart is bad for the kidneys and vice versa, you know? So he has these two guys fighting and all of those kind of things, you know? But one of the things that he has is rural medicine. And if the farmer comes to the hospital, then you know that like there's something seriously wrong because, you know, like the farmer, you know, like chopped half his hand off, but then he was finished fixing his fence before coming to the hospital. You know, those kind of things. And it's a very funny thing if you find Dr. Glaucomflecken, at least I find it funny. for you guys from the lab background, Dr. Glaucomflecken had a story about the lab people as well. And in his story, the lab is on the basement of the basement. And they're not interested in people, they just want to know, where's the sample? You know? They're like, you walk in, I showed that to a friend of mine from WHO who worked on the lab strengthening. She was like, we are not that bad, are we? But yeah, I know the lab people, they don't need windows, but they just need the sample. Okay. On to our final challenge. How many cases were seen in children under 1 year of age? We have to look carefully at the data to answer this. Let's look at the data. How are we going to tackle this problem? How many cases in children under 1 year of age? Age is in the fifth column, yes? But, look carefully, Yes.
On a l'âge et on a l'unité de l'âge. L'unité, il y a les années hier.
Exactly. So when, look, realistically what they do is they write down age 0.5 or they write age 9 months, all in the column that you're expecting a number, okay? But if you are doing it super nice, like I've done here, you put the unit and the amount. You know, you separate them out like this. And that lets you know that if it's somebody who's 15, it says 15 years. But if it is somebody who's 2 months old, it says 2 months. So if you look carefully, you'll see that it only says months for the children under age 1. You know, so the 2-year-olds, it would say 2 years. Okay, so the 1 year up to 1 year old would say 1 year. Okay, so up to less. I mean, you get what I'm saying. Up to less than up to less than 12 months, it will just specify months. So all we need to do to answer this question, once we've seen the data, we've seen it clearly, is we need to count how many times we see months as the age. Okay? And how are we going to do that? What? We can extract the column. Let's extract the column. And it's a good idea to extract the column, okay? Even though it looks like we don't need to extract the column, the real nice thing about extracting the column is that then if there happens to be the same text somewhere else, it doesn't mess up our calculations. Okay, so let's first remove the header. Now we're going to extract the column. It's column 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6, comma.
I'm sorry, minus D, comma, minus F6. Minus, no, head. Tail minus N plus 2, not head. Yeah? And now we can go. Finally, to count how often we see months. Grep. Because now we can use grep to filter, and grep can filter and count at the same time. So we can either do grep months, pipe WC minus L, or we can say grep and it gives us the same thing. 193 out of those 1,000 cases were in infants less than 1 year. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to show you is this is where awk can do nice things for us. It can combine a whole lot of functionality in one. Okay? We can say awk dollar minus F, comma, so the field separated, $6 matches months total plus. I think that should work. I will just check this now. In print total. And we get the same thing. Okay, and I've put that in the notes. Okay. So what is this doing?
It's set for month.
So this says only run this thing if column 6 matches. This twiggly thing means match. That is a regular expression. Even though I'm looking for a simple string, I've used a regular expression because just to show what all can do. If column 6 matches months, add 1, tot plus means add 1 to the variable total. When we get to the end, print tot. And you see this gives us the same results as using the cut and the grep together. Okay? So awk, it's a programming language and it can do many things, and that's quite useful for some things. Again, here we have other options, so we don't need it, but I think it's useful to know about these things. No, tot is just a name that I've chosen for a variable. It could be anything. Okay? So if I do recommend that you spend a little bit of time. I don't think that you must learn everything in everything. Okay? One of our professors here, the one time, came to me with a bash script that used features of bash that I'd never seen in my life before. Okay? And there's a text editor called VI. One of our students once started writing all of their code in the programming language of the VI text editor. You can do lots of amazing things. And in fact, my oldest existing program, I have a program that I wrote in 1998, and you can still run it today. And what that is a proof that you can use a mail processing engine called SANBI to calculate any computational stuff. I showed what you could do with a mail processing engine back in 1998, and it's the most useless piece of code I've ever written, but it was fun, and I've kept it alive since 1998 just to prove that that code still works. Okay, so you can use many tools for the job. You must decide at what point am I going to switch to a different tool because it makes my life easier. So for instance, bash, I believe you can do a lot with just the Linux commands, and we're going to do more this afternoon. But at a certain point, should we rather do this with R? Should we rather do this with Python? Should we rather do this with awk or a different kind of thing? Okay, and I know it's a lot of things to learn. Okay, but as you build up this toolbox, you become more flexible and more adaptable to circumstances and the kind of nasty data that people give you to work with and all of those kind of things. But we're going to end here. After lunch, we're going to do some more scripting, some loops, and other things, you know. Any questions before we break for lunch? Or have I is your brain feeling like it's going to now burst with all of these new things? They're there online. They will stay online for you to always refer to. Good. Then, before we go for lunch, can everybody make sure that their stickies are not on the computers? Stickies must go down on the desk so that we don't. And then, can we go for lunch? I need a bit of time.